Excuse me. Thanks.
All my time.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Welcome to our services. A few announcements before we get started with our worship service this morning. You know, New Year's is a time that everyone makes New Year's resolutions and change their habits and change their ways. And I hope that one of the resolutions that we made was sorry, Neil. One of the resolutions that we made as Christians here are to better serve our Lord this year in 2017 and dedicate ourselves to His service. Happy birthday wishes go out this week to Linda Chopik today, who's a New Year's baby. Marty Popovich on the 3rd, Mark Glasgow on the 5th, and Brian Alford on the 6th. And we especially welcome back this morning Burdette and Charlene after several months of being away. It's a good sight to see you, Burdette and Charlene. Welcome back. We missed you. Pastries will be provided in a coffee in the month of January and February. So come a little bit early and enjoy some coffee and pastries and fellowship. The January calendar of services schedule is on the back table. If you haven't picked that up, do so. And this is the first Sunday of the month, and normally this would be our covered district luncheon. It is scheduled for next Sunday, January the 8th. So plan on that. Primetime luncheon is also scheduled for Monday, January the 9th at the Hometown Buffet. And immediately after services this morning, if everyone would stay, we have to have our annual corporation meeting to appoint trustees for 2017. So please stay for that. Our midweek Bible study, Wednesday evening at 6:30. We're still in the study of the Gospel of Matthew, and the Grassi will be teaching from chapter 18. Anyone that wishes to take part in a card gift for a baby shower for Jessica Brown, please see Pam Wildman by January the 8th. And our quarterly building and grounds offering is scheduled for January 29th instead of today. We have quite a few that we need to keep in our prayers on the sick list. Are there any other announcements before we begin our worship service this morning? Let's go to God in prayer. Father, we come to you on this new Lord's Day morning, the first one of the year. And as we gather together, I pray that we would evaluate our lives and our service to you, that we would rededicate ourselves, that we would center our lives and focus on you, to better serve you, to better do your will, to be a better servant of yours this year than we have been in the past. I thank you so much, dear Heavenly Father, for this avenue of prayer, that we can come to you, that we can commune with you. And I thank you so much, dear Heavenly Father, for the prayers that have been answered for Burdette and Charlene. It is so good to see them back in the assembly this morning. And I just pray, dear Heavenly Father, that you would continue to be with Burdette as he heals and gets better. Continue to bless them and bless all of those of our number who are sick. that have medical problems or going through treatments or facing surgery, whatever the problem that they may be facing. I pray, dear Heavenly Father, that it is your will that your hand of healing and blessing and mercy would be with each and every one of them. And I pray that it would be your will that you would bless them and restore them. I pray, dear Heavenly Father, that you would be with Nick this morning as he delivers the message to us. I pray that you would give him remembrance of his thoughts, the lesson that he has prepared, and I pray that we would listen tentatively to the message, that we would open up our hearts and our minds, that we would not just hear the lesson, but we would take it with us and apply it to our lives, that we would grow, that we can be examples to others that we come in contact with on a daily basis in our lives. Let our light shine that they know that we are Christians. Thank you so much for all the blessings that we have, but especially for the gift of thy Son. His willingness to come to this earth as a sacrifice, to die upon the cross that we have remission of our sins. Thank you so much for his love and your love. Without this, our lives would be empty, that we would still be under the bondage of sin. And we thank you so much for your love and his sacrifice. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We begin this morning with number 47, please. Number 47. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning our song shall rise to thee. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty,
God sent his Son, they called him Jesus. He came to love, heal and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. How sweet to hold a newborn baby and feel the pride and joy he gives. But greater still, the calm assurance this child can face uncertain days because he lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal Father, we come to you at the beginning of this new year, thanking you for all the gifts that you have bestowed upon us in this past year. We thank you for your love and watching over us and keeping us safe, for healing those who have been sick and returning them once more with us as we welcome for death and Charlene back this day. We thank you for all the many prayers that you have heard and watched over us and guided us, helping us to grow stronger, helping us to gain a knowledge of your wisdom. We ask that you'll help us to understand the mystery of your Son, that he would be willing to come to earth and die for our sins, that he would take the burden of our sins upon him and suffer as he did. We thank you for the Bible, which reveals your word to us, and for the church here, for the love we have one for another, that we are family, and that we are there for one another when we need help. We thank you for all the help
give one another. We pray now that you help us to gain knowledge and wisdom through further study, that we might reflect the light that God created at the beginning, the light of His goodness, that we might reflect it out to the world, that we might guide them back into the church if they have fallen away, if they are lost and seeking truth. Help us to guide them into the truth and into the church. We pray you'll be with all the sick of the congregation, those who are physically ill, those who are emotionally and spiritually ill, restoring all of them at your will. We pray that you'll help us always to live examples that are a light to your world. Help us to live blameless lives. We pray that you'll be with Nick as he delivers his sermon today, that you'll help him to do a good sermon, teach us, help us to learn. We thank you for all those who teach lessons, both men and women, for the children, for the adults, those who are willing to do devotionals, and all those who do the mundane work of the church. Pray that you'll be with us always. In Christ's name, amen.
During our offering this morning, we'll be singing 991, first two verses that will be on the screen. Now to prepare our minds for the Lord's Supper, we'll sing 325. 325.
Boundless love, unending joy, this is my life, it's what I know. I can believe that He selected me, Jesus my Lord, it's You I owe. Boundless love, this is my life, it's what I know. I can't believe that He selected me, Jesus my Lord, it's You I owe. Boundless grace, because of Calvary, His life He gave, His love outpoured. I now can live with Him eternally. Jesus my Lord, it's You I love. Jesus my Lord, it's You I love.
I'd like to read a couple of verses from Colossians. For He delivered us from the domain of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of His beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. And He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by Him all things were created, both in the heavens and on the earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things have been created by Him and for Him. And He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. He is also the head of the body, the church, and He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that He Himself might come to have first place in everything. Let's go to our Lord in prayer. Our God and Father, as we join in this that represents our Lord's body, we do as our Lord has commanded us to remember Him. Father, to remember Him, how could we ever forget Him? We remember His birth, His life, His works, His fulfillment of Your will, and His death and resurrection on a cross. That in our mind's eye, when we look at the cross, we see the ugliness of sin in your eye. And that because of our sin, Jesus came. And because he took on our judgment, that we come to you as forgiven children of yours. We are struck with awe, Father, when we consider what great love you have for us in spite of ourselves. We pray that as we remember him, that we will collectively and individually look to Jesus as the true light and help us to accept the responsibility of being the light to all those around us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. More verses from Colossians. For it was the Father's good pleasure for all the fullness to dwell in him, and through him to reconcile all things to himself, having made peace through the blood of his cross. Through him, I say, whether things on earth or things in heaven. And although you were formerly alienated and hostile in mind, engaged in evil deeds, yet he has reconciled you in his fleshly body through death in order to present you before him holy and blameless and beyond reproach. Our God and Father, as we continue our thoughts and prayers of remembrance, we share in this that represents our Lord's blood that he shed on that cross. We pray that you will bless it and bless those who partake of it. And help us to recognize that his blood saves us. That as his life's blood flew from him, it came into us. And that through our acceptance as Jesus Christ as our Savior, you accept us as your children. Father, we pray for strength and courage this coming year. Strength and courage to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, to live a life even more dedicated to the service of you. We pray that we will share our love with one another, that we will look to Jesus for answers to so many perplexing questions we face. We thank you for the light that the gospel presents to us, that through our beliefs and acceptance of Jesus as our Lord and Savior, that you have given us eternal life, that even beyond the bonds of our physical life, we continue on with you spiritually. And how that must be amazing when we finally stand before you in your presence and in your kingdom as your children. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Our God and Father, we thank you for all that we are, for all that we have. We recognize that it's all yours, that you have given it to us to use while we're here and to pass on. Father, help us to always remember that all blessings come from you. We thank you that we're able to congregate here. We pray that as we give this offering, it will be used in a way that glorifies you and glorifies your kingdom. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and melody rings, the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world, I rest me in the cloud of rocks and trees, of skies and seas, His hand the wonders wrought. This is my Father's world, the birds their carols raise, the morning light, the lily white, declare their Maker's praise. This is my Father's world, He shines in all that's fair. In the rustling grass I hear Him pass, He speaks to me everywhere. Our invitation this morning will be number 924.
718. We're going to sing it twice through, 718. We shall assemble on the mountain. We shall assemble at the throne. With humble hearts into His presence. We bring an offering of song. Glory and honor and dominion. Unto the Lamb, unto the King. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. We sing the song of the redeemed. We shall assemble on the mountain. We shall assemble at the throne. With humble hearts into His presence. We bring an offering of song, glory and honor and dominion, unto the Lamb, unto the King. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. We sing the song of the redeemed. Welcome to the Cortland Church Fest, and welcome to 2017. If you're visiting today, understand that we've got a fantastic preacher, Terry Seibert, and that I'm not him. So if you want to hear a great sermon, come back next week. He's taking a much-needed break. Well, it's the first Sunday of the year, and what better to talk about than new beginnings? So in the spirit of new beginnings, we're going to talk about changes. We're going to talk about communication, love, and finally, we're going to answer the age-old question, should I rope that deer? Mr. Kennedy, you're one of the most experienced hunters here. Have you ever been sitting there in your stand and thought, boy, if only I had a rope? I've often thought, I wonder if I jumped out of the stand, if I could grab a hold of one, what would it do? Well, we have a short story here to help us answer this age-old question. And my brother's going to come up and read it for us. It's about 5 minutes, and it applies. It's a good one.
I'd like to give the disclaimer that came to me last night and said, hey, I want you to read something tomorrow. Is that all right? And I said, sure, what is it? It's like, I'm not going to tell you, and you can't read it beforehand. But he said, there's no big words in it, so you should be fine. And he's like, you've read it within the past year, so we'll see how it goes. He told me I needed to have pep, and I'm like, it's hard to have pep when I don't know what I'm going to be reading. So I just chugged some coffee back there, and I figure it's going to give me a little vibe, so we'll see what's happening. So this is a true story, I imagine, written by my brother. So just keep that picture in your mind. I had this idea that I was going to rope a deer, put it in a stall, feed it up on corn for a couple of weeks, then kill it and eat it. The first step in this adventure was getting a deer. I figured that since they congregate at my cattle feeder and do not seem to have much fear of me when we are there, a bold one will sometimes come right up and sniff at the bags of feed while I'm in the back of the truck, not 4 feet away. It should not be difficult to rope one, get up to it, and toss a bag over its head to calm it down, then hog tie it and transport it home. I filled the cattle feeder, then hid down at the end with my rope. The cattle, having seen the roping thing before, stayed well back. They were not having any of it. After about 20 minutes, my deer showed up, 3 of them. I picked out a likely looking one, stepped out from the end of the feeder, and threw my rope. The deer just stood there and stared at me. I wrapped the rope around my waist and twisted the end so I would have a good hold. The deer just stood and stared at me, but you could tell it was mildly concerned about the whole rope situation. I took a step towards it. It took a step away. I put a little tension on the rope and then received an education. The first thing that I learned is that while a deer may just stand there looking at you funny while you rope it, they are spurred to action when you start pulling on that rope. That deer exploded. The second thing I learned is that pound for pound, a deer is a lot stronger than a cow or a colt. A cow or a colt in that weight range, I could fight down with the rope with some dignity. A deer, no chance. That thing ran and bucked and twisted and pulled. There was no controlling it. Certainly no getting close to it. As it jerked me off my feet and started dragging me across the ground, it occurred to me that having a deer on a rope was not nearly as good an idea as I originally imagined. The only upside is that they do not have as much stamina as many other animals. A brief 10 minutes later, it was tired and not nearly as quick to jerk me off my feet and drag me when I managed to get up. It took me a few minutes to realize this, since I was mostly blinded by the blood flowing out of the big gash in my head. At that point, I had lost my taste for corn-fed venison. I just wanted to get that devil creature off the end of the rope. I figured if I just let it go with the rope hanging around its neck, it would likely die slow and painfully somewhere. At the time, there was no love at all between me and that deer. At that moment, I hated the thing, and I would venture to guess that the feeling was mutual. Despite the gash in my head and the several large knots where I had cleverly arrested the deer's momentum by bracing my head against various large rocks as it dragged me across the ground, I could still think clearly enough to recognize that there was a small chance that I shared some tiny amount of responsibility for the situation we were in. So I didn't want the deer to have to suffer a slow death. So I managed to get it lined back up in between my truck and the feeder, a little trap I had set beforehand, kind of like a squeeze chute for cattle. I got it back in there and I started moving up so I could get my rope back. Did you know that deer bite? They do. I never in a million years would have thought that the deer would bite somebody, so I was very surprised when I reached up there to grab that rope and the deer grabbed hold of my wrist. Now, when a deer bites you, it's not like being bit by a horse where they just bite you and then let go. The deer bites you and shakes its head, almost like a pit bull. They bite hard and it hurts. The proper thing to do when a deer bites you is probably to freeze and draw back slowly. I tried screaming and shaking instead. My method was ineffective. It seems like the deer was biting and shaking for several minutes, but it was likely only several seconds. I, being smarter than a deer, though you may be questioning that claim by now, tricked it. While I kept it busy tearing the tendons out of my right arm, I reached up with my left hand and pulled that rope loose. That was when I got my final lesson in deer behavior for the day. Deer will strike at you with their front feet. They rear right up on their back feet and strike right about head and shoulder level, and their hooves are surprisingly sharp. I learned a long time ago that when an animal, like a horse, strikes at you with their hooves and you can't get away easily, the best thing to do is try to make loud noise and make an aggressive move towards the animal. This will usually cause them to back down a bit so you can escape. This was not a horse. This was a deer, so obviously such trickery would not work. In the course of a millisecond, I devised a different strategy. I screamed like a woman and tried to turn and run. The reason I had always been told not to turn and run from a horse that paws at you is that there is a good chance that it will hit you in the back of the head. Deer may not be so different from horses after all. Besides being twice as strong and 3 times as evil, because the second I turned to run, it hit me right in the back of the head and knocked me down. Now when a deer paws at you and knocks you down, it does not immediately leave. I suspect it does not recognize that the danger is past. What they do instead is paw your back and jump up and down on you while you're laying there crying like a little girl and covering your head. I finally managed to crawl under the truck and the deer went away. So now I know why when people go deer hunting, they bring a rifle with a scope to sort of even the odds. Now that I delivered half the sermon.
I can't keep composure when reading that. I laughed so hard. I practiced it and practiced it. And every time I lose it, I laugh. And Chris doesn't seem to find the same things as funny as I do. So I think it'd be perfect for reading. Well, finally, the question's been answered. Should you rope the deer? Yes. But make sure you have a video camera first, because you're probably going viral on YouTube. Now you're probably thinking, what kind of communication rabbit hole did we just head down here? Well, have you ever felt that you'd rather be communicating with that deer rather than the farmer? The farmer devised a plan, he carried out a plan, he wrote a hilarious story. He's an intelligent human being. He should be someone fantastic to communicate with, but he changed his mind during the story, and the deer never knew what the farmer wanted. Who communicated wonderfully? The deer. No one here ever had to question what the deer wanted. He wanted some food, then once he was roped, he wanted unroped. That's a word for Terry I made up. Plain and simple, every move the deer did let the farmer know more and more clearly he did not want rope, and he never wants to be roped again. The farmer, who was also clearly able to receive the message, was not able to accomplish that goal very quickly. I don't know if this is the same in your house, but on Sunday mornings, they're one of the most spiritually uplifting times of the week. Getting ready, my wife and the kids, we all get dressed perfectly, we have a wonderful meal, well ahead of time, and then we're all willing to climb in the car and make our way to church so that we can learn more about God. Wait, did I say spiritually uplifting? I meant to say spiritually trying. The devil seems to work on the whole family because there's always weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, my wife, she's loving, beautiful, caring. I asked my wife, who is loving, beautiful, and caring, how can I help get the kids ready in the morning? To which she replies, nothing, just get ready. I don't pick out the right dress clothes, I don't cook quick enough apparently. She doesn't want to help. She says, but then on our nice peaceful ride to church where the sound of crying kids can be heard in the background, I ask my wife what's wrong. To which she replies, you didn't help me get the kids ready. Now man, this is one of the most interesting things about women. They know how to use this little thing called a catch-22. Have you ever heard of it? I think I'm speaking for most men when I say that I'd rather be roped to a deer than to be caught in a catch-22. Now my wife, when I told her I was going to use this as an example, she said this isn't a catch-22 at all. You should just know what to do. Does this conversation sound similar to any of yours? I can tell you this, when my wife starts assuming I should know what she wants done, she starts picturing me more and more as that stupid farmer hanging on to the deer for dear life, unintended. My guess is that there's a couple women here going, yep, that's my husband. Haley and I attended a weekend to remember. It's put on by Family Life, and it's a fantastic weekend getaway where you learn how to communicate better. And if anyone would like to work on their relationship, it's an excellent way to start the new year. The weekend is full of exciting speakers, and they educate you in a wonderful way. They've got two books that I really like from that weekend. One of the books is Love and Respect. We're back. Oh, there we go. Did I do that, or did you do it? Okay. Love and Respect, we have what's called the crazy cycle. I think you did it. Can you do it again? Now, many people look at the crazy cycle and go, so you can go back one. I'm sorry. Now, many people look at the crazy cycle, and the crazy cycle, if you picture a circle, it has without love. Try to go through this. I'm sorry, we had this worked out this morning, and it's not working. Haley, can you see if you can?
Nope.
You back on? All right, good. That's what I missed it completely. So in the crazy cycle, you have he reacts, and then you have it says without love, and then you have she reacts, and without respect. And it's just a cycle that goes over and over, where he reacts without love, and that leads her on to reacting without respect. Now, many people would look at this and go, well done. Well, if this is a well done situation, then I ask you, why do so many relationships stay riding in the crazy cycle? Why is there a 50% divorce rate in the United States? That means that if they all had kids, there are 50% of kids growing up in broken homes. Those who claim to be Christians but rarely attend church have a divorce rate around 60%. If we look at those who attend church regularly, their divorce rate is around 38%. Now, if you look at those numbers and say, well, fantastic church, we're doing well, then I think you might be missing the point. A 38% divorce rate within the church is still pitiful. That means that out of 10 couples in the church who know they should not get divorced, 4 out of 10 still get divorced. Let's look at it more closely. For 4 out of 10 of the couples, we know they had a bad marriage. But what about the other 6 out of 10? What's their marriage like? Women's Health says that around 65% of women are happy in their marriage. So now we're down to about 3 out of 10 couples in church having happy marriages. Which by the time you factor in health problems, work problems, other family problems, the marriage outlook in church could really look pretty pitiful. Now don't misunderstand my words up here today. I'm not really up here to talk about divorce, and we're definitely not diving into the stresses that people have to go through that already have been divorced. What I'm trying to say simply is this. As Christians, we must do a better job at communicating. Communication work is not simply for married couples either. It is for siblings, for cousins, for friends, for the person you just met on the street. Now this is a little snippet of Dr. Eggerich's book. But let's look at this again, the crazy cycle. In his book, he says, when women are taught that men need respected more than they need to be to feel loved, they often respond, this is totally foreign to me. They don't believe it. And that's exactly the problem. When a wife does not speak respect language, after a while her husband isn't interested in communication. Who wants to keep talking to someone who doesn't speak their language? So the husband goes quiet and walks away. Even though wives are told that husbands feel, my wife doesn't respect me, their response is, what's that got to do with anything? What's it matter if I respect him? I still love him. The answer is everything. One wife was shocked when she asked her husband, do you want me to tell you that I love you or that I respect you? Without hesitation, the husband replied, I want you to tell me that you respect me. She could not believe her ears. She had never realized that though he needed her love, what he lacked was assurance of her respect. Ephesians 5:33, so each husband should love his wife as much as he loves himself, and each wife should respect her husband. Women, do you hear this? You must respect your husband. Now listen, I'm not singling out women here today. They just haven't made it over to the men yet. Ladies, I'm going to talk to you for a short while longer. Let's think about this for a moment. If one of the ways you can support your husband the best is by showing him respect, what do you think is one of the ways that you can wound your husband the most? What's one of the ways that you can hurt your husband more than all else, and in turn strip your own relationship of the foundation that you need? It's by showing him disrespect. Let's look at some of the simple ways that you may not realize you disrespect your husband. Do you correct your husband when he's trying to tell a story? I'm talking about interrupting to try to get the facts straight, rather than supporting your husband in the story he's trying to tell. Now, are facts important stories? Yes, of course they can be. But if you're more concerned about irrelevant facts in the story, and you stop the story to interject that your husband was off by a minor detail, That shows you're more concerned about the story rather than your husband trying to just tell a story. A man notices his kitchen sink is leaking. He wants to surprise his wife that it's fixed before she even makes it home from the store. So he gets the supplies he needs and cleans out the under part of the sink, and he begins to work. The job begins to take longer than he realized, and the leak begins to get worse. He runs and grabs a bucket to catch the extra water, and on his way back under the sink, he cracks his head for the 5th time. As he's trying to fix the plumbing, he pinches his hand and the pipe wrench, and in his frustration, he over-tightens the plumbing, cracking it, sending out more water than before. The bucket is now running over, and he's covered with water. The man hurries to empty the bucket, and as he climbs out from under the sink, his wife walks in the door. She sees water covering her new hardwood floor. They saved up for it for an entire year. This moment, these kinds of moments, are all too real in our day-to-day lives. Does the wife rush to help her husband, thanking him for the hard work and the sacrifice that he's made in trying to fix his castle? Or does she maybe not help, but thank him at least for doing and commending him for his hard work, when some other husbands may not have been so willing to work? Or does she perhaps realize that her husband is messing around with the old plumbing that the wife said needed replaced years earlier? Does she believe her husband has not called the plumber who would have known how to fix the sink without making a mess because she believes he is too cheap to call a plumber, and now the floor is ruined? Does the wife hang on Ephesians 5:33, knowing that even in this situation she is commanded to respect her husband? Or does she give in to evil, fill her soul with anger, and begin to berate her husband as the fool that she married? And listen, there's really no in-between in these situations. Have you ever heard the saying, if you're not helping, then you're hurting, or if you're not for us, then you're against us? If you do not choose to smile and wrap your arms around the soaked husband and show him respect and support, if you choose instead to berate him, or you choose instead not to berate him, but you're silent, you know how to hold your tongue, but your body language oozes of disappointment. We might have thick skulls, ladies, but we can read body language. Then you are stripping your own marriage of the love that you are looking for in return. And now, men, where do we start? If we think that we need to show your wife respect to get respect, then you are sadly mistaken. Women want to feel loved. And more than that, they were made in such a way that they need to feel loved. And what's even more importantly than that, men, is that you were made to be the one to show your wife love. We talked about Ephesians 5:33, but let's back up and look at Ephesians 5:25. A husband should love his wife as much as Christ loved the church and gave his life for it. And back to verse 33, so each husband should love his wife as much as he loves himself. You must love your wife. You ever met this man? When we got married, I told my wife I loved her. Now, nothing's changed. If that ever changes, I'll let her know. But otherwise, I told her once, and I'm not saying the L love word again, till I die. It sounds funny, but some guys seem to live their lives like this. Or they might ask the question, why do I need to say I love you to my wife all the time? Why do I need to show her I love her? Shouldn't she just know it? I go to work every day, I work around the house. Isn't that enough for her? Well, let me ask you this. Would you like your wife to respect you every day? Of course, saying it once is not enough. If you want your wife to respect you every day, then you have to show your wife that you love her every day. It's a 50-50 drive. A wife who said she respected her husband when they got married, but never respected him after that, would probably be thought of as a pretty terrible wife. What guy would want to be married to a woman like that? Well, a woman craves love. She was made that way. It isn't a defect. It's a blessing. Women soften the world and beautify it. Well, in the same way, if a guy is married to a woman and is unable to show her love, then that woman's probably going to have a pretty miserable life. Look at Ephesians 5 again. Does the verse say, love your wife until she disrespects you? No. Does it say, when you have had a long day at work, you can come home and treat your wife like a doormat? No. Listen, your wife is a weaker vessel. That's the Bible's words. That's not mine. She is like beautiful pottery. Do not break her. If you waltz in from work and you've had such a hard day, you think you might lose your job, or maybe even you did lose your job, and you walk in the door frustrated, and you reach for that nice, refreshing glass of water. You kind of drink it back quickly, and you set it down a little too quickly. What's going to happen? Your glass is going to shatter from just the slightest movement too quickly. You'll have glass shards flying, and you'll be without a glass. And you'll probably end up cutting yourself too. Then you'll still have to clean up the mess. Unless you're a real jerk, and then you make your wife do that too. Now, men, we know no matter how hard a day's been, we can't set the glass down too quickly. Or we just made the day harder on ourselves. We know the consequences, so usually we decide, no matter what else happened in the world, to set that glass down nice and peacefully, like a civilized human being. Yet all too often we finish with that meaningless glass, and we turn to our wife to utter a hurtful word. In the same way, shattering her. And trust me, you'll have much bigger consequences than shattering a glass. I'd rather be tied to that deer bin than to have a scorned wife who feels cornered that she has to fight back. Men, you want respect, and you know your wife needs to be loved, but your wife is also afraid to become your doormat. It is scary for a godly wife to be joined to a man. Ephesians says, can we go forward one? One more, right there. Ephesians says, wives must put their husbands first, as she does God. That's pretty high. Wives must submit to their husbands, being the head of their relationship. And wives must respect their husband. Men, can you imagine if the roles were reversed? That's a scary thought, isn't it? I'm a big believer that men could never fill these shoes that God asks for women to do. We weren't made to live like this. Men, what are you commanded to do? The husband must put God first. The husband must be the head of their relationship, and the husband must love their wife. Do you see the parallel here? In God's infinite wisdom, we are made to fit together like a puzzle. Men, we know that women have a part, but yours is not a walk in the park either. You are created to strive for perfection. You're created to strive to be like God. Not that it's something that could ever be accomplished. You can't ever be equal to God. But men, what are you striving for and laboring for in your own life? Are you striving to be a good leader, like your family needs you to be? When I was going through school as a paramedic, I was taught to never tell people you are doing good. Everything is going to be okay. Keep it up, you're doing good. We don't say those things to people. Why? Because they might die. In the earthly sense, they might not be A-okay. So we weren't supposed to use those words. And though this is something I couldn't disagree with more, I thought that it might have been made by a woman. And here's why. When I'm hurt and injured, going through a surgery, as a man, I automatically feel like I've let everyone down. I'm at that moment not able to be a very good leader. And it's easy to feel that everything I've worked so hard for in my earthly life is crumbling down when I get injured. So men, when we are in the position, what words do you want to hear? I love you? No way. That's great. It's great that you love me. But I've just been stripped of everything that I am as a man. Tell me I have your respect. I want to hear I'm doing good. I want to hear that I'm doing what's right and godly in the situation still. I want to hear I'm doing okay. I want to hear everything's going to be okay, even to my dying breath. Because what you're going through might take you to the end. And what are you thinking? How will my family make it? What will happen to all those that I love? And the failure of being injured, and the burden of something that might truly overcome me, which to a man means, or can feel as though you failed as a leader. You need respect and confidence that even to the end, you're doing your job you were created to do. I think that's why movies like Braveheart and others like it, where somebody dies in this respectful way, is so appealing to watch. When my wife is having a bad day, what do? I want to fix it. I want to fix it right now. What does she want? She wants to be held. She wants to be told that she's loved. How opposite could a man and woman be? Yet if I try to show Haley the feelings that I want to feel, I'll probably completely miss out on what she needs. The other book that I think is really great, here's the forward one, is The 5 Love Languages. So you get that men desire respect and women desire love, but when you marry the idea together with the 5 love languages, you get something really special. The SparkNuts version is that, just like it sounds, there's 5 love languages: words of affirmation, quality time, gift giving, acts of service, and physical touch. And one more. Words of affirmation are words for building someone up, for telling them well done, showing them support. Words that support the very meaning of who the person is. Quality time is stopping to spend time with someone. Stopping to let that person know you are there for them above all else. That your busy world is not too busy for them. Gift giving means you feel so much love when someone takes time to give you a gift or make you a gift. It does not mean that you are selfish and desire more and more things, but you feel so loved when somebody remembers you with the gift, no matter how small it is. Acts of service are just that. It could be doing the dishes for your loved one or washing their car. It could be sweeping the house or learning whatever that person needs done. And the last one is physical touch. It's when a warm embrace, a friendly kiss, a handshake, maybe a massage, it's when someone's touch means so much to you that you desire it above all else. Now let's imagine for a minute, men, that with this book, the love language that's displayed also comes across as respect. Now if you've never read this book, it's a game changer. Men, if you want to show your wife love, then you better speak her love language. Women, if you wanted your husband to feel respected, then you've got to speak his love language. You see, you cannot give the love language that you're seeking and expect for the other person to feel that in response. You must find out what their love language is. And this book has a very helpful test to help figure that out, because some people can't verbalize it on their own. Or they think that they know it, and they get it totally wrong. For instance, if I said mine was that thing that happens in the bedroom between a husband and wife, so I tell my wife, mine's physical touch. I may lead my wife down the wrong trail. You see, you have to take a time out. If you can sit there and say, my wife never touches me, other than that thing that happens in the bedroom, and I'm okay with that, then your love language is not physical touch. Think of what wounds you the most, not necessarily what you avoid the most. When my wife uses maybe hurtful words or words that aren't as supporting, that for me is where I find things to be very demoralizing. Love languages are great to understand because just like how disrespect can be so damaging to a man because it is the opposite of respect, the love languages work the same way. When someone desires words of affirmation, desire to be told good job when they are made fun of or cut down, then those words can pierce these kinds of people so much more. When a wife desires quality time, yet the man has so much to get done because he's worked all day, and now he needs to come home and work around the house, but he never takes time to stop and spend time with her and the kids. He wounds them without even knowing he is doing a mean thing to them. It's Christmas time, so let's talk about gift giving. When a spouse desires a special gift, maybe that they've asked for in the past and hope you remember, but instead the other person has someone else shop for them, or you buy something not special at all, it can really wound these types of people. And for acts of service, they could make your spouse feel so loved, but can you imagine the opposite? You never do the dishes for them, you never pick up around here, and you never help them. Physical touch, listen church, this does not mean sex, though it could. Physical touch is much more than that. It is reassuring someone that they are loved because of a warm embrace. Imagine someone who desires to be held in a loving way, but instead is physically abused. But, Nick, we're Christians, and like the Beatles say, all we need is love. 1 John 3:18, Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. Many newlyweds think that the love feeling is going to last forever. They think that the love feeling is what gets them through. Well, listen, feelings go away, and they always continually change. When you are hired in a new place, the job often seems great. But what happens once you begin to work with the same people day in, day out, and you get to see what they're like, and they get to see to really know what you are like? The relationships can become strained. They can become tough. What happens when your sibling takes the last piece of cake? What about the stranger on the street who mocks you because of the t-shirt you're wearing with a cross on it? Does the love feeling have anything to do with your response in these situations? 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 11 describes love like this. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. I wonder if we always show respect, or if we always show love to our spouse. Love never fails. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I even thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. There is no mention of the feeling of love here. I read once that the longest that the love feeling can last is 2 years. And that was extreme. They didn't believe that feeling can actually last that long. Children respond based on their feelings. They lash out when they're tired or mad. Me and my wife have come to know that well. People, we are not children. The way you feel about something is too flaky. Who in here loves Oreos? I love Oreos. I love them so much that for some reason I tend to consume nearly the whole package at once. But by the time I've finished all of them, I don't love them anymore. Then when I'm feeling terrible and sick at night, I begin to hate them. Did the Oreos change? No. Did I change much? No. I just became full, yet my feelings changed. So what are we to do? I urge you to learn to communicate better, to practice it, to live it, your whole next year. Practice every single day how you communicate. I can't help but think of James chapter 2, 14 through 16. What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. Faith leads to actions. Love leads to actions. If you love your spouse, if you love your kids, if you love your friends, if you think you love them, then it had better spur you on to becoming better at communicating with them. A popular saying in today's culture is, I want someone who loves me for me. I feel like this is one of the most dangerous sayings in today's culture, because who are you? What makes you so special? You're special because you have a loving God that died for you, not because of your unique artistic flair. Mark 10, verse 6, but from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate. You see, when you become married, there is no more you. The two of you become one. You are no more, and now you are a new creation. You are now something that wasn't before. The idea of not wanting to change and to keep your identity at all costs could be a death blow to relationship. This is where God's perfect plan is so special, that He can take two people so different. But if they put Him first, if they put God first, they will both be as one, moving in the same direction, on the same team. James 3, 3 through 12. We put bits into the mouth of horses to make them obey us. We can turn the whole animal, or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and driven by strong wind, they are steered by a very small rudder. Wherever the pilot wants to go, likewise the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and itself set on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, sea creatures have been tamed. But the tongue has been tamed, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our Lord and our Father, and with it we curse human beings, who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brother and sisters, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. The tongue can be tamed by no man, and I believe this means no man is perfect. But this does not mean you can't learn to communicate better. This doesn't mean you can't learn to use your tongue better. So again, I ask you, church, to consider improving your communication for your New Year's resolution. In closing today, this was just a short snippet of getting to talk about communication. There is so much great information out there that can help us communicate better. But many times we don't want to communicate better. Spouses that have been abused, siblings who have chosen words or deeds that are so hurtful that the thought of making peace is just too much to bear. Years and years of wrongdoing that weighs our heart down to the point that we can't let it go. More accurately said, we won't let it go. When in these situations, it may not be an overnight fix. But here is what I do know. If you're looking to receive that love feeling from your spouse in order to decide if you're going to love them back, if you're looking to receive respect from your spouse in order to respect her back, if you have shown love and you have shown respect 1,000 times before and you have never had any reciprocation, remember this: you have a God who always loves you. Can you click one more? God will never leave you. God will love you forever. God will comfort you. God will help you. God is always faithful. In this life, you will have trouble, but you can flee to God for safety. And God keeps His promises. Once you learn to look to God for your love feelings and your sense of respect, once you learn to look to His steadiness, it will be much easier to love those who do not deserve it. It doesn't matter if you've been married a day or 7 years. If you're married and not working to fix your relationship, then I beg you to stop wounding your relationship. You're a Christian. You are loved by God. And you are called to be more than you are being. Love because you are loved by someone more powerful. A relationship of any kind is a blessing, whether a friendship, a marriage, or family. And communication is the very root of making it work. You can be married and not communicate. But you cannot have a great marriage and not communicate. You are a Christian. You are to be Christ-like. You are loved, and the God of the universe has given His Son for you. Let that sink in. He loved you so much that He wants you to have a great relationship. And if you have ever been married for a while, and your communication is not good, then chances are you don't know how to communicate well. I urge you to seek counseling, to read godly books, and to live by them. Every couple weeks, and sometimes daily for me, my wife asks me how our love tank is doing. It's another thing from the 5 love languages book. It's something that we practice, and it helps us working all the time. We ask each other and remind each other. It's become a part of our life, and it's helped us so much. I'm going to speak to men here even more than women. You didn't learn to shoot a foul shot well by not practicing and learning from a coach. You didn't learn your job well without someone teaching you the trade. You didn't learn to be a Christian without a preacher teaching you. So put away your pride, because this is no different and even more important. If you can't communicate well, and if you can't stop saying terribly mean things to the ones you love, ever, even once is too much, then suck it up and get some good counseling so you can learn to communicate well. Christians are called to always communicate with love. God is love, and He wants you to have the fruits of the Spirit in your life. So reach out and ask for help. Ask again and again. If you don't get it right the first time, you can do it. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Him who gives me strength. One more slide, Stephen. And Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I've made for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. I wonder, for those of you that are really in a tough place in your relationship, You believe you are too old to have a good relationship. You believe your spouse is too far gone. You believe you yourself are too hardened to care. What if all your toil was to place you in a position to prosper you? What if your hard times are not to cause you to toil, but to shape your relationship so it can flourish? I know the plans I've made for you, plans to give you hope and a future. What a blessing for those who believe. You can do this because you have a loving God that is with you. If we can help you with your relationships with God, family, or friends, then we welcome you to come forward at this time. We can pray for you, or we can even help you with baptism while we stand and while we sing.
Just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me you.
Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Father, we thank you for this new day you've given to us, and the first day of the new year you've given to us. Father, we thank you for the year we just completed, for all the many blessings and all that you have bestowed upon us. Father, we thank you for all these things. As we begin a new year, Father, we ask you to help us and guide us, to watch over us, and help us to grow as your children, to serve you to the best we possibly can, to be obedient unto you. And Father, help each of us to go out into the world and help others to come to know you. Father, help us to do all we can to share the good news about Jesus and those we come in contact with. Father, we are so thankful for the congregation we have here in Cortland, for all the saints that worship here, for those who teach the Bible classes, and for having Terry and Jeannie working here, preach the gospel in this area. We pray for you a long life and service in your vineyard. Father, we are thankful this day as we thank Nick for bringing a lesson from your word and the preparation he did. We thank Nick for this lesson about communication for husbands and wives. We pray that for those who are husbands and wives, this will help them to have a better marriage. And they will put those things in practice that were brought to our minds this day. Father, help each of us to study from your word daily. We may know your will and do your will and be the best servant we can for you, Father, in doing your will. Father, we thank you for the country we have, that we live in. We thank you for this country, for the leaders of our country. We pray that they will do your will, Father. And Father, we pray that you will be with all the men and women who are in the protective forces and the armed forces who help us to keep our country free and help us to have the freedoms that we have. We pray that you will be with those men and women, watch over them as only you can, and take care of them. Father, be with us as we go out throughout this day, and keep us in your care, and help us to always stand for the truth, to always put you first in our lives, and not let things of this world come before you. Father, we are so thankful for all the spiritual blessings we have through your Son, Jesus. Help remember that all blessings come from you, and without you we are nothing. Father, we thank you for allowing us to bring mercy this day. We thank you for hearing our prayers. We thank you for answering our prayers. We love you, praise you. We give you all the glory. We ask this prayer through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. We'll be seated for just a couple minutes.